Hey everyone, welcome to the online program of Amrita IAS Academy. My name is Sibi Joy, and as part of our monthly current affairs MCQ series, this is part 1A of July 2020. So without any delay, let's go for the first question. Consider the following statements about the Pobitora sanctuary. 1. It is popularly known as miniature Kaziranga for its highest density of one-horned rhino in Assam. 2. The South Asian river dolphins are primarily found in the Brahmaputra river flowing through the sanctuary. Select the correct answer using the given below code. Option A 1 only, option B 2 only, option C both 1 and 2, and option D none of the above. So this question talks about Pobitora sanctuary. It was recently there in the current affairs for the past few cycles. One of the major attractions of this is the river Brahmaputra flowing through it and the large number of one-horned rhinoceros present inside this sanctuary. Also, another thing about this is the South Asian river dolphins are also primarily found in the Brahmaputra river. So definitely both of the statements are right. This was present in the newspapers consistently over the past few cycles. It's a very important current affair. The answer is going to be option C, both 1 and 2. Let's go for the explanation. Even if you don't know it, let's listen to the explanation. We'll definitely get more points for remembering and keeping it in your mind. The answer is C, explanation. Statement 1 is correct. It is the dwelling place of the greater Indian one-horned rhinoceros with its highest population in the whole world. Pobitora is popularly known as miniature Kaziranga for its highest density of one-horned rhino in Assam. Statement 2 is correct because the freshwater dolphins or South Asian river dolphins are primarily found in the rivers of Ganga and Brahmaputra in India. It is often called a susu or hihu in the local dialect. It can mainly be seen in South Asia, namely the Indian subcontinent region. Scientifically, it is called as Platanista gangetica. These rare dolphins have survived through the ages in India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Pakistan. And so that is explanation for this question about the Pobitora sanctuary and the river Brahmaputra and the dolphins inside the Brahmaputra river. Let's go for the next question. But before that, recognized by the government of India as the national aquatic animal, which is the Gangetic dolphin or the South Asian dolphin. These species are considered to have a whole number of mere 2,500 species around the world. Pobitora Wildlife Sanctuary is one of the major living areas of these river dolphins. For the tourists, the authority of Pobitora organizes boat trip that can give sightings of river dolphins. As these creatures are immensely shy and have unpredictable quick movements, their sightings are really rare and they usually vanish beneath the surface of the water before one can capture it in a frame or a photograph. So that is a just basic explanation about the Gangetic dolphins. Take this explanation as certain facts which you can learn about the Gangetic dolphins and also about the Pobitora sanctuary. Keep it in your mind since these questions are very important and these facts are very important, and these questions can come in your UPSC prelims exam. So let's go for the next question. Consider the following statements about the PM Formalization of Micro Food Processing Enterprises or PMFME scheme. This centrally sponsored scheme is part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. Second statement, the expenditure under the scheme would be shared in a 90:10 ratio between the central and state governments. It adopted one district, one product approach or ODOP approach to reap benefit of scale in terms of procurement of inputs and marketing of products. Which of the above mentioned statements are correct? Option A 1 and 2, option B 2 and 3, option C 1 and 3, and option D all of the above. So looking at this, let's take the second statement. The expenditure under the scheme would be shared in 90:10 ratio between the central and state governments. So generally any expenditure is shared at the ratio of 60:40, and only for specific special category states like the northeastern states or for the Himalayan states is the government is the share differentiated towards 90:10 in the favor of the central government. But whereas in this question, the second statement says that the expenditure under the scheme would be shared in 90:10 ratio between central and state governments. Actually, it says it's completely all across India. So that second statement is completely wrong because definitely it's not going to be 90:10 all across India, but only for the special category states. But generally, it's going to be 60:40. So taking that logic into account, we can definitely say that the second statement is wrong. Remove the second statement, you are left with option C 1 and 3 only, and that is this centrally sponsored scheme is part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. The third, it is adopted one district, one product approach. So taking this into account, even if you don't have an idea about the PMFME scheme, just knowing that usually the share between the central and state is going to be 60:40 or 50:50, not 90:10 in case all across India, but rather only for the special category states, one can find the answer for this question. So let's look at the explanation. The answer is C, explanation. The statement 1 is correct. With a view to providing financial, technical and business support for upgradation of existing micro food processing enterprises, the Ministry of Food Processing Industry MOFPI has launched a PMFME scheme to be implemented over 5 years from 2020 to 2025 with an outlay of 10,000 crore. the Minister for Food Processing Industries has launched the PMFME scheme as part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. It will generate nearly investment of 35,000 crore, generate 9 lakh skilled and semi-skilled employment, and benefit 8 lakh units through information, training, better exposure and formalization. The second statement is not correct because the expenditure would be in the 60-40 ratio between central and state, 90:10 ratios for northeastern Himalayan states, and with 60-40 ratio for union territories with legislature, and 100% for center by the center for union territories without legislature. The third statement is also correct because it adopts the OD-ODP approach to reap benefit of scale in terms of procurement of inputs, availing common services and marketing of products. The states would identify food product for a district keeping in view the existing clusters and availability of raw material. The ODOP product could be a perishable produce based product or cereal based produce products or a food product widely produced in a district and their allied sector. So, that is generally one district, one product approach which aims to galvanize the district towards the food processing sector. So, that is the explanation for this question. Let us go for the next question. In context of Globba andersonii, commonly known as the dancing ladies or swan flowers, consider the following statements. This species is endemic and restricted mainly to the Western Ghat region. Second, this plant species is recently declared as extinct in wild. Choose the correct code. Option A 1 only, option B 2 only, option C both 1 and 2, and option D none of the above. So, Globba andersonii has been present in the newspapers for over the past few cycles, mainly because it is endemic and it is not restricted to the Western Ghats, but rather restricted towards the northeastern part of India, and it was not recently declared as extinct in wild. It was believed to be extinct, but it was actually found after nearly a century. So, let us look at the both of the statements are wrong in this context. The answer is D. Let us look at the explanation. Globba andersonii are characterized by white flowers, non-appendaged anthers, or the anther is a part of a stamen that contains the pollen and has a yellowish lip. It is classified as critically endangered and narrowly endemic, where the species is restricted mainly to the Teesta River Valley region, which includes the Sikkim Himalayas and the Darjeeling Hill ranges. So, it is really endemic. It is actually restricted to the Teesta River Valley region. And the second statement is not correct because it is known as dancing ladies or swan flowers and was thought to be extinct until its recollection for the first time since 1875. A team of researchers from Pune and Kerala have rediscovered a rare and critically endangered species known as the Globba andersonii from the Sikkim Himalayas near the Teesta River Valley region after a gap of nearly 136 years. So, it is not recently extinct, it was actually rediscovered and is endemic to the Teesta River Valley region in the Sikkim Himalayas and the Darjeeling Hill ranges. So, that is the explanation for this question. Let us go for the next question. Consider the following statements. Hul Divas is celebrated annually to commemorate the Santhal rebellion. The Santhal rebellion was a protest against the British colonial authority and the zamindari system. It was led by Sidhu and Kannu Murmu. Choose the correct code. Option A 1 and 2 only, option B 2 only, option C 1 and 3 only, and option D all of the above. So, looking at this question is about the Santhal rebellion. We will be learning about the Santhal rebellion as part of our history in the civil services static portion. So, definitely you will have an idea about this. And the second statement is absolutely right. If you learn about the basic information about Santhal rebellion, you learn about it, you will know that the second statement is right. That is, the Santhal rebellion was a protest against the British colonial authority and the zamindari system. And so is the third statement, that is, it was led by Sidhu and Kannu Murmu. So, taking that into account, we can definitely say that the second and third statements are correct. If the second and third statements are correct, obviously there is only just one option left, which is Hul Divas is celebrated, option D. Therefore, then the first statement, Hul Divas is celebrated annually to commemorate the Santhal rebellion, automatically becomes correct also. So, definitely I would go for the answer as option D, and we will go for the explanation too. The statement 1 is correct because the Hul Divas or the rebellion day is celebrated annually to commemorate the Santhal rebellion. The second statement is also correct because the Santhal rebellion, sometimes referred to as the Santhal rebellion, commonly known as the Santhal Hul, was a rebellion in present day Jharkhand in eastern India against both the British colonial authority and also the zamindari system, and was led by the Santhal people. The rebellion was led by the 4 Murmu brothers, the Sidhu, Kanhu, Chand and Bhairav Murmu. So, why this question was asked? Because recently the Prime Minister paid tributes to the freedom fighters on Hul Divas. So, that is the explanation for this video. Let us go for this question. Let us go for the next question. The World Population Report is published by which of the following agency? Option A, United Nations Fund for Population Activities. Option B, United Nations Development Program. Option C, United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, UNDESA, and D, World Economic Forum. So this is a ABCD type of question. Again, if you know it, you can go for it, or if you want to make a logical assumption, one thing I would like to suggest is population is the keyword mentioned in the question, and if you look at the options available, option A, United Nations Fund for Population Activities, has the keyword population in that too. So matching that together, we can say that the option A is right for both, and if you want to make a logical jump, I would suggest that is also feasible. But if you feel that something is, you know it properly also, you can go for it. The correct answer is actually option A. Let's look at the explanation. 1 in 3 girls missing globally due to sex selection, both pre and postnatal, are from India. 46 million out of the total 142 million are missing according to the UNFPA's, the United Nations Sexual and Reproductive Health Agency, the State of the World Population 2020 report has said. The United Nations Population Fund, formerly it was known as the United Nations Fund for Population Activities, it is a UN organization, and it is the lead UN agency for delivering a world where every pregnancy is wanted, where every childbirth is safe, and every young person's potential is fulfilled. So that is the explanation for this question. Let's look at the next question. Recently, lepidopterists have discovered the striped hairstreak and the elusive prints, two new species of butterflies from A. Arunachal Pradesh, B. Sikkim, C. Maharashtra, and D. Kerala. So looking at this, again, it's an ABCD type of question. All of these states have some very vast, flora and fauna, so it's going to be really hard to know. So in such cases, let's try to remember the names and identify that with certain places. So in this case, the striped hairstreak and the elusive prints are two new species of butterflies from Arunachal Pradesh. It's a fact, we have to learn it. There is no option otherwise to find certain answers. So certain facts, we will have to learn it. This was present in the current affairs. Let's learn this and go for the explanation. The answer is A. Lepidopterists have discovered the striped hairstreak and the elusive prints in Arunachal Pradesh. The lepidopterists in Arunachal Pradesh have helped add two species to India's expanding list of butterflies. The striped hairstreak was first recorded by the Japanese entomologists in Hainan province of China. The other, the elusive prince, has a Vietnamese connection and was thought to be the more familiar black prince found in the eastern Himalayas. So these are the two major newly identified species of butterflies which have been found. Both of them have been found in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. With this, we'll go for the next question. Consider the following statements about the World Investment Report of 2020. It has been published by the World Economic Forum. Second statement, it supports policymakers by monitoring global and regional FDI trends. Which of the above mentioned statements are correct? Option A, 1 only, option B, 2 only, option C, both 1 and 2, and option D, none of the above. So, it has been published by World Economic Forum. Second, it supports policymakers by monitoring global and regional FDI trends. So the second statement, FDI, foreign direct investment. So since the second statement has the word investment in it, and since the question also has the word investment in it, definitely you can say that the second statement is absolutely right. So if the second statement is right, we can eliminate option A, 1 only, and option D, none of the above. So the only things left is option B, 2 only, and option C, both 1 and 2. Keeping this into account, we can start looking at the different, we have made a 50-50 elimination. Let's see whether it's option B or C. Now we have to come to the first question. It has been published by the World Economic Forum. Yes, Economic Forum does have ties with investment reports and it can talk about it, but it's a in these kinds of questions, it's a 50-50 chance and it's a gamble. So whenever we are talking about major reports, whenever we are talking about major organizations, always try to learn about the various reports published by these organizations. Always try to identify which report is published by which organization, and this will definitely help you in your UPSC prelims preparation. So definitely I can say that the World Investment Report is not published by the World Economic Forum, and rather the answer is option B, 2 only. So who publishes it? We'll look at the explanation. Even if you don't know it, we can learn about it. It is published by the UNCTAD. So the answer is B. The statement 1 is not correct because it is the World Investment Report has been published annually since 1991 by the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, or the UNCTAD. Each year's report covers the latest trends in foreign direct investment around the world and analyzes in depth one selected topic related to FDI and development. So please know it is not the World Economic Forum but the UNCTAD which publishes the Global World Investment Report. The second statement is correct because the World Investment Report 2020 is now in its 30th year. It supports policymakers by monitoring global and regional FDI trends and documenting national and international investment policy developments. This year's report naturally takes stock of the COVID-19 crisis, and it also includes a new chapter on investment in the SDG. So understand that it is in its 30th year and it monitors global and regional FDI trends too. So that is the explanation for this question. Hope you all remember it. Let's go for the next question. In context of Kuthu or Terukuthu, Consider the following statements. This ancient art is performed in Tamil Nadu. Second statement, it is used to educate the rural people about religion and their history. Choose the correct code. Option A 1 only, option B 2 only, option C both 1 and 2, and option D none of the above. So this ancient art is performed in Tamil Nadu. Yes, these are some famous art forms which are practiced all across India. You will be learning it as part of your art and culture syllabus in your history preparation. So try to identify the major art forms or many classical dance or any other artistic or other cultural phenomenon which are present. Make a column, try to identify the major themes across the individual states and individual places, so that you will be able to identify them much more easily. So Kuthu or Terukuthu is actually an ancient art performed in Tamil Nadu. The second statement, it is used to educate the rural people about religion and the history. Yes, that is absolutely right. The form of Terukuthu or the art form of Terukuthu is mainly used to educate the people about the religion and their history. So the answer is option C. Let's go for the explanation. Statement 1 is correct. Kuthu or Terukuthu is an ancient art where artists play songs with dance and music in storytelling the epics performed in Tamil. It is a folk art originated from the early Tamil country. Statement 2 is also correct because Kuthu as a form of entertainment reached its peak hundreds of years ago in Tamil Nadu. It was mentioned in the Sangam tests about the development of EL, literature, Isai, music and Nadagam or drama. Going beyond just a means of entertainment, Kuthu actually educates the rural people about their religion and their history. So that is the idea behind Terukuthu. I hope you take this explanation and it can be useful for your UPSC prelims preparation. Let's go for the next question. In context of Central Zoo Authority, consider the following statements. This statutory body is chaired by the Prime Minister. Second, it prescribes rules under which animals may be transferred among zoos nationally and internationally. Choose the correct code. Option A 1 only, option B 2 only, option C both 1 and 2, and option D none of the above. So Central Zoo Authority, the first statement, this statutory body is chaired by the Prime Minister. No, the Prime Minister, while does chair certain bodies, the Central Zoo Authority does not come under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister. We will be learning about which are the bodies over which the Prime Minister is the chairman. Definitely the Central Zoo Authority is not under the chairmanship of the Prime Minister, but rather it is under the chairmanship of the Environment Minister. So with that alone we can say the first statement is wrong. Again we made a 50-50 elimination. It's either option B 2 only or option C both 1 and 2. In that case we can definitely say that the second statement seems to be right. So we can go for saying that it prescribes the rules under which animals may be transferred among the zoos nationally and internationally. So since the first statement is wrong, option A is eliminated. Then it's either option B or option D. So in this case I would go for the second statement seems to be right. So I would go for option B, which is 2 only. The answer is correct. The explanation, we'll go for the explanation. The CZA or the Central Zoo Authority is a statutory body chaired by the Environment Minister and tasked with regulating zoos across the country. Apart from the chairman, it consists of 10 members and a member secretary. Almost all of them are officials in the Environment Ministry, and non-government experts are also those who are wildlife conservationists or retired forest officers. The second statement is correct. The authority lays down guidelines and prescribes rules under which animals may be transferred among the zoos nationally and also internationally. So the CZA has the authority to lay down the guidelines and prescribe rules for the transfer of animals, but it comes under the chairmanship of the Environment Minister and not the Prime Minister. So that is the explanation for this question. Let's go for the next question. Recently, the government has launched the Accelerate Vigyan scheme to A. Encourage students to take up science as a stream after class 10. B. Accelerate research and development in higher education institutions. C. Finance startups focused on R&D. D. Strengthen scientific research mechanism and knowledge-based economy. So Accelerate Vigyan scheme is very it talks about generally talks about knowledge, and all these 4 options are also talking about knowledge. So to make a leap of logic would be really hard, since there's not much keywords to talk about. At the same time, if you have some knowledge, or if you have read through the newspaper, you definitely know that the Accelerate Vigyan scheme comes under option D, which is aiming towards strengthening the scientific research mechanism and knowledge-based economy in our country. So if you can make a quantitative assumption that option D is correct based upon your knowledge, well and good. If you cannot, try to find the link, or if you cannot, you can just leave it in case you have attended enough questions in the main prelims exam. So let's go for the explanation. Even if you don't know it, you can learn about it right now. The answer is D. Explanation. The Science and Engineering Research Board has launched a new scheme called the Accelerate Vigyan to provide a single platform for research internships, capacity building programs and workshops across the country. The primary objective of this interministerial scheme is to encourage high-end scientific research and prepare scientific manpower which can lead towards research careers and knowledge-based economy. That was the demand of the question. Accelerate Vijjan will initiate and strengthen mechanisms for identifying research potential, mentoring, training and a hands-on workshop at a national scale. So also remember, one point you can take from this is it is launched by the Science and Engineering Research Board, or SERB. Know this, learn this, imbibe this, definitely will be useful for your UPSC prelims. Let's go for the next question. Consider the following statements about the Permanent Court of Arbitration, or the PCA. It is an intergovernmental organization that resolves disputes arising out of territorial and maritime boundaries, sovereignty and regional trade. Second, it is a United Nations special agency. Select the correct answer using the given below code. Option A 1 only, option B 2 only, option C both 1 and 2, and option D none of the above. So, Permanent Court of Arbitration, it was recently in the news consistently for the past few years actually, so it is something which everybody would have an idea about. Let's look at the statements. It is an intergovernmental organization that resolves disputes arising out of territorial and maritime boundaries, sovereignty and regional trade. That is absolutely right. That is the main function of the Permanent Court of Arbitration. Second statement, it is a United Nations special agency. No, the Permanent Court of Arbitration does not come under the United Nations ambit. It is not a special agency of the United Nations. So this is a fact-based question. We can learn about it, and the Permanent Court of Arbitration has been there in the current affairs recently and also in the news for the past few years. So let's look at the explanation. Statement, the answer is A. The statement 1 is correct because the PCA is an intergovernmental organization located at The Hague in the Netherlands. The PCA is not a court in the traditional sense, but provides services of arbitral tribunal to resolve disputes that arise out of international agreements between member states, international organizations or even private parties. The cases have a wide range of issues involving territorial, maritime boundaries, sovereignty, human rights, international investment and international regional trade. But the second statement, it is not correct. The PCA is actually constituted through two separate multilateral conventions with a combined membership of 122 states. The organization is not a United Nations agency, but it is an official United Nations observer, but it is not a specialized United Nations agency. That is the explanation for this question. Let us go for the next question. Consider the following statements about the Okavango Delta. 1. It is located in Botswana, a landlocked South African country that has the world's largest elephant population. Second, it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. 3. It is Botswana's only Ramsar wetland. Which of the above mentioned statements are correct? Option A 1 and 2 only, option B 2 and 3 only, option C 1 and 3 only, and option D all of the above. So looking at this question, if you look at the third statement, it has a very absolute keyword known as it is Botswana's only Ramsar wetland. So usually when we look at the word only, we definitely think it's going to be wrong and we do skip out. But like I said in the earlier videos also, there are certain exceptions and we'll try to learn those exceptions, and these exceptions will help us to know when we should look at the only and we should not look at the only as a criteria for eliminating your statement. In this case, let me tell you that Botswana's only Ramsar wetland is the Okavango Delta. It was present recently in the news for a very specific reason, and it is also UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it is a landlocked Southern African country. So I would go for the answer, which is option D, all of the above. Let's look at the explanation. Even if you don't know about the Okavango Delta, we'll be learning about it right now. Explanation: hundreds of elephants have actually died mysteriously in Botswana's famed Okavango Delta, which was said by the head of the wildlife departments, and they ruled out poaching because the tusks were actually found intact. This country has the world's largest elephant population, which is nearly around 1,30,000. So let's go statement wise. The Okavango Delta in Botswana is a swampy inland delta formed where the Okavango region river reaches a tectonic trough in the central part of the endorheic basin of the Kalahari Desert. So it's actually in Botswana. It's a landlocked country. It's located near to the Kalahari Desert. Statement 2 is also correct because the delta was named as one of the 7 natural wonders of Africa, which were officially declared on 11 February 2013 in Arusha, Tanzania. On 22nd June 2014, the Okavango Delta became the 1,000th site to be officially inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List. Third statement, the Okavango Delta in Botswana is in the middle of southern Africa, is a unique pulsing wetland. There are two distinct areas: the permanent swamp, which is inundated with water all year around, and the seasonal swamp, which is flooded annually and dries gradually with the onset of summer. The Okavango Delta was declared a wetland of international importance and received its Ramsar status on 12th September 1996. It is Botswana's only Ramsar wetland and qualified on several of the required criteria to be declared as a Ramsar wetland. So understand that this is based in Botswana. It is known as the Okavango Delta. It is based on the Okavango River. There is a large elephant population in that, and it is the only Ramsar wetland in Botswana. So it's a big explanation. Try to inculcate it. Try to remember certain major points about it. We'll go for the next question. And before going, this was the last question. So this is CB Joy signing off. Everybody have a nice day. Thank you.